Hey, folks, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker, your resident culture warrior. Welcome to Monday. It is Monday, so there's that. But also, we got a little bit of sad news. A little bit of sad news, as you may or may not have heard yesterday. There was a tragic incident or a tragic death that occurred over the weekend on the set of the Rings of Pewter. That show has claimed another victim, as well as all of our sanity and our ability to trust billion-dollar corporations to do the right thing and trust Hollywood and these streaming services to make faithful adaptations of classic works. There has been now an actual death related to the show, and I'm saying this, and I'm not trying to make fun or make light of the situation. It's actually not something to make fun or make light of. Speaking of light, sorry folks, let me just pop that on there we go, much better. I was wondering why the image looked a little bit different. But anyway, let's just hop right on over to the story and we'll take a look here. And it says, this is coming to us from CBR.com. And it says, Lord of the Rings, a horse dies on the set of Prime Video's Rings of Power. A horse dies while being prepped to film a scene on the set of Prime Video's The Rings of Power, currently filming in the United Kingdom. A horse died on the set of the show. Okay, that's you told us that 4 times now. Just gonna pause that right there. All right. According to Deadline, the horse died due to cardiac failure while preparing to film scenes for season 2 of the Prime Video show in the United Kingdom. We are deeply saddened to confirm that a production horse died, as opposed to a one-off custom-made horse. A production horse died on March 21st, a spokesperson for Amazon Studios said. The incident took place in the morning while the horse was being exercised prior to rehearsal. The trainer was not in costume and filming had yet to commence. Both a veterinarian and a representative of the American Humane Association were present at the time. The independent necropsy has confirmed that the horse died of cardiac failure. It's interesting that you would have a American Humane Association person there if you're in England. I would assume, maybe someone correct me, doesn't England have organizations that handle this stuff? I would think they do, right? Because they're horses, and using horses for pageantry and stuff like that is far more, I guess, historic there per se. So I would think there would be something like that in the UK, but I mean, whatever. It is what it is. According to sources, over 30 horses were being used on the set that day. All the horses were supplied by the Devil's Horsemen, a new horse supplier for the Rings of Power, since the show moved production from New Zealand to the UK after season 1. This is the first known horse casualty in the 50-year history of the Devil's Horsemen, which has worked on several other productions, such as Justice League, Game of Thrones, and The Crown. After the horse collapsed, everyone was asked to leave the set for 30 to 45 minutes while the body was removed. After the brief pause, production resumed. Of course, because these production places, it's not like, hey, somebody, or we had this animal that we've been working passed away, so maybe you should stop for the day at least, out of a little respect or something like that. But 45 minutes, take a lunch break. Peter responds to the horse death on the Rings of Pewter set. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, issued a statement shortly after news of the horse's death was made public. Quote, "It seems that living underground with the orcs is par for the course for the producers of the Rings of Pewter." I would agree, because they have the option to use CGI, mechanical rigs, and other humane methods that wouldn't run vulnerable horses to death on set. PETA Senior Vice President Lisa Lang said in a statement, "PETA is calling for the show's creators and all other producers to take on a new quest without using any real horses. If they can't avoid exploiting animals for their art, they should find a new medium, because no one wants to see a spin-off for TV with torment as the theme." Now, I'm not a huge fan of PETA. I think they tend to get a little bit ridiculous sometimes. I don't necessarily feel that you need to only use CG horses for some of this stuff. I do believe that you can use, live animals. And obviously you take safety precautions and you make sure that the animal's safety and health is going to be okay, the same way you would with a human actor, right? But I do agree with them on this in that, like, nobody wants to watch a spin-off with Torment as the theme. Unfortunately, as Tolkien fans, welcome to our world. I mean, literally, that's all I can say. Since season one's premiere in 2022, Rings of Pewter has proven to be a major success for Prime Video, becoming both the most viewed premiere and most viewed original production in the streaming service's history. Little is known about the plot for season two at the time of writing, but Amazon Studios' head of global TV, Vernon Sanders, has promised the next installment will be on an even grander scale than the first. This includes even bigger battles and some iconic moments from J.R.R. Tolkien's original Lord of the Rings books and appendices. While The Rings of Pewter is an Amazon Prime Video production, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogies were produced by New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers. New Line and Warner Brothers recently announced plans to develop new Lord of the Rings movies. Season 1 of The Rings of Pewter is available and nobody gives a flying fuck. All right, so let's get right into it. So, yeah, again, I'm not a fan of PETA. I'm a fan of the concept of looking out for the protection of animals. Because there's two things that will set me off: somebody that hurts kids and somebody that hurts animals. I'll say it right. I have no sympathy for anybody that will hurt kids, and I have no sympathy for anybody that will hurt animals. And I feel that if you fall into either of those categories, you are deserving of whatever punishment and torment comes your way, right? Because kids and animals are the only things that love unconditionally in the world. That's just my opinion. A child will always love unconditionally, and an animal, be it a dog, a cat. I'm a dog person. I've had dogs in my life, and I've had cats in my life. One of my quote unquote best friends ever was a cat, a Siberian cat named Sebastian, who was like my child, right? Animals will love unconditionally, right? They will give exactly what they get, and they will do it without having to be asked for it, without having to be coerced. They will just they will unconditionally love you. So I'm a big animal guy, right? I'm a and children, and I have zero tolerance for people who would abuse animals and or children. But I don't always agree with PETA and their stand on certain issues, like this saying that shows should use CG horses or mechanical rigs. I mean, I in some instances, I think yes, that is something, an option that should be looked at depending on the nature of what's being filmed. If it's going to put the animal at significant risk, then yes, I say you look for an alternative and you go that route. The same way, if you were going to do something that would put a human life at extreme risk, you would by default look for a safer way to do it. Right. So I agree with them in that regards, but PETA, like I said, their track record on being reasonable and stuff like that is spotty at best. Okay, so I'm not gonna side with PETA on pretty much 9 out of 10 issues, but I will agree that it is wrong that this, whatever happened. I understand sometimes accidents happen. It could have had nothing to do with the show. It could have had nothing to do with the scenes or them working the animal too hard. It could have just been like with a human that it just happens that sometimes that happens to be people will drop, just have due to cardiac failure, cardiac arrest, a heart attack, if you will, doing the most mundane things, sitting there watching TV. I know somebody whose mother passed away, and all her mother was doing when it happened was she was on the couch watching TV and not doing anything strenuous, not doing anything that she wasn't exerting herself. She was literally kicked back with her feet up on the couch, and her heart she just had a heart attack and passed away. So sometimes it just happens. I understand that, but it is sad that an animal had to lose its life. It's doubly sad that it had to lose its life in connection with this show. But, Again, I'm not going to get into like, oh, it should have been like a better show or something like that. It's sad that the animal died, right? But it's sad that you hear that an animal died on such a weak show, on the production of such a weak show, such a garbage show, right? That anybody would have to lose a life or be seriously injured in the production of such a garbage show is doubly sad, because it's at least it's not even for something good, right? So my condolences to those who raised and trained and may have been close and familiar with this particular horse. Thoughts and prayers going out for you, because yeah, I understand that, for as much as people like to talk tough and be, act like you're tough shit a lot of times, reality is, all of us have a soft spot for animals. And especially ones that we're in contact with day after day, day in and day out. They become like family. They do. They may not be able to talk to you in the language that us humans use, but you know what they're saying. When your dog climbs up on your lap and looks at you, you know what they mean, right? Same thing when your cat comes up and curls up on you and starts doing that little kneading thing that cats do on you and stuff like that. Every one of you cat owners know that the message that your cat is sending you, right? You know what that means. They're like family. So I do, my sympathies do go out to the trainers and the folks that were familiar with this horse and worked with this horse every day and stuff like that. And I just wish that, if it had to happen, it had. I wish for the horse's sake, if it happened, it would have happened on a better show, right? But anyway, as long as it wasn't the show pushing them too hard, that would be a different story. Then I would say sue them out of existence and put an end to this travesty. But if it was just something that just happened randomly, it couldn't have been foreseen, couldn't have been avoided. It was just the horse's time. Unfortunately, that's the way it happens sometimes. And yeah, I just, like I said, I just wish that particular animal had been connected with a more positive and better quality show. But it is what it is. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, especially all you pet owners, whatever your pet may be, right? Whether it's a fish or a lizard or a dog or a cat, a bird. Let me know down in the comments. They become like a part of your family, right? They I don't know how the little furry buggers do it, but they work their way into that spot that you thought was like cold and desolate, like in your heart, and suddenly they curl up with their furry little self in there, and before you know it, you're just like, that's my cat. And they become like family, and it's always sad when you hear something like that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Remember, if you like the video, if you want to share the video, by all means do so. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps us get seen. If you have not subscribed yet, I would hope that you would consider subscribing. I'm seeing a lot I'm seeing some movement in Tolkien-based videos and stuff like that lately over the weekend and stuff like that. And I sure wish some of these folks would want to come over and join the ranks of the beautiful badasses. We're growing it, but it's slow. It's slow going. It's an uphill battle, but we will be successful. Of that, I am sure. So if you have not considered subscribing yet, I hope that you will this time and turn that red subscribe button gray. And if you have subscribe to the channel, as always, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys and gals are the reason why I do this, and I take time out of my day every day to make these videos for you guys and share this news and opinions and whatnot with you guys. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. So I will see you on the next video. Remember, as always, to be good, be safe, be awesome, but most importantly, stay more dorkish. Until next time, everybody, peace.